S says, I'm turning 50 this year, have a household income of $225,000, and max out a 401k that doesn't offer matching contributions. Should I make traditional or Roth contributions to my 401k? Thank you so much for sending me this email, Anna. Knowing whether to use a traditional or Roth retirement account is an important financial decision, especially as you reach the milestone of a 50th birthday. So today's podcast will review the pros and cons of traditional and Roth accounts and a new Roth rule that applies to high earners over age 50. I'll offer a roadmap for your retirement strategy based on key factors like your age, income, and financial goals. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Money Girl podcast. It's Finance Friday, a special edition of Money Girl where I answer any of your burning money questions. If you're new here, I'm Laura Adams, an award-winning author who's been bringing you personal finance tips every week for decades with over 44 million downloads. I love hearing from you. So if something finance related is on your mind, go ahead and leave me a voicemail by calling 302-364-0308. You can also email your question or comment by using my contact page at lauradadams.com. All right, so first I want to talk about retirement catch-up contributions, before we get into the meat of Anna's question about traditional and Roth accounts. I just want to explain a significant retirement benefit that's available to Anna and anyone over age 50, and that's catch-up contributions. They're simply additional funds that you can contribute beyond the standard annual limits set by the IRS, and it does have to be allowed by your employer's retirement plan, and most do. Catch-up contributions allow you to save more as you approach retirement. That can be really helpful, maybe if you've delayed saving or you're just behind on your retirement goals. For 2026, participants under age 50 can contribute up to $24,500 to most workplace retirement accounts like a 401k, 403b, and 457 plan. However, starting the year of your 50th birthday, you're eligible to make up to an additional $8,000 catch-up contribution. So that brings your total up to $32,500. Now, there is an exception for participants aged 60 through 63, which is called a super catch-up, and it simply allows them to contribute more. They can contribute up to $11,250, bringing their total up to $35,750 for 2026. So here's a summary of the 2026 catch-up contribution rules. For the regular contributions, these are for anybody under age 50. Again, for a workplace retirement plan, your limit is $24,500. But the standard catch-up contribution for those over 50 is $32,500. We get there by adding $24,500 plus that catch-up of $8,000. And if you are age 60, 61, 62, or 63, you qualify for a super catch-up contribution instead. And in that case, you get to contribute a total of $35,750. That's $24,500 plus $11,250. Now, Anna's question concerns a workplace retirement plan, but I do want to mention that individual retirement accounts, or IRAs, also allow catch-up contributions. For 2026, if you're qualified, you can contribute up to $7,500 or $8,600 if you're over 50 to a traditional or a Roth IRA. So the catch-up portion is $1,100. Now, if you have more than one type of retirement account and you meet the eligibility requirements, you can make catch-up contributions to multiple accounts. However, you can't exceed the contribution limits for each account type, like a 401k if you have multiple 401ks or an IRA if you have multiple IRAs. Now, I mentioned that there is a new rule that we need to talk about. So, in general, catch up contributions have typically been made on a traditional pre tax basis. However, starting this year in 2026, there's a new rule, and it says if you're a high earner based on your prior year's income, and I'll talk more about that, you can only make those catch up contributions on an after tax Roth basis to a Roth account. Now, the cutoff for 2025 is earning over $150,000. If you earn more than that, you are considered a high earner, and any catch up contributions you make must go into the Roth part of your 401k, not the traditional part. So, this may apply to Anna if she is the sole breadwinner with $225,000 of household income. However, the 150,000 income threshold will be adjusted for inflation in future years, and that means it's likely to increase. Since Anna will turn 50 this year, she qualifies to make an $8,000 catch-up contribution on top of that standard $24,500. And that could be a great way to sock away more for retirement, especially since she mentioned that her employer does not offer any matching contributions. As I mentioned, the $8,000 catch-up for high earners must be an after-tax Roth contribution, but the rest can be traditional or Roth in any combination you like up to the $24,500 limit for 2026. But let's say if Anna earned $150,000 or less in 25, in that case, she would be exempt from the new Roth mandate for catch-ups and could choose to invest those catch-up contributions as pre-tax, traditional funds, or after-tax Roth funds. However, if an employer's plan does not allow Roth contributions, those earning over $150,000 won't be eligible for catch-up contributions. So definitely speak with your employer or your benefits administrator if your retirement plan does not give you a Roth option to accommodate this new catch-up mandate. Also, note that the new Roth catch-up rule only applies to workplace retirement plans, not to IRAs or even to SEP IRAs. That's for the self-employed. However, if you are self-employed and you've got a solo 401k, in that case, the Roth mandate does apply to you if you receive W-2 wages from your business. Now, the downside of the new Roth mandate is that those over 50 with high incomes are going to owe more income tax in the current year because their contributions will be taxable. However, the upside is that you can take Roth withdrawals tax-free after age 59 and a half if you've owned the account for at least 5 years. Okay, now that we've talked about the rules for making catch-up contributions after age 50, let's get back to Anna's question about using a traditional or a Roth account. Now, assuming Anna's sole income is $225,000, using a traditional 401k will likely save her the most taxes in the short term, especially if her income will be lower in retirement. For instance, making pre-tax traditional retirement contributions could save Anna and a spouse, if she files jointly, up to 24% in taxes. That's the tax bracket where they currently are. In other words, every dollar she puts into a traditional 401k saves her about 24 cents in federal taxes. And this is just a very kind of broad example. The primary downside of a traditional retirement account is that withdrawals are subject to ordinary income taxes. Plus, you must make required minimum distributions starting at age 73 or at 75 starting in the year 2033. And that's so the government begins collecting income taxes that you haven't yet paid on a traditional account. All right, now let's talk about using a Roth account. After-tax Roth contributions do not cut your tax bill in the current year. However, you can withdraw your future account balance entirely tax-free. So Anna could pay about 24% in taxes now on those Roth contributions to ensure that she pays 0% tax on the account in retirement. So making Roth contributions typically means you have a higher income tax bill. However, you create a future source of income that will be entirely tax-free. That could be really wise if Anna believes that her income in retirement will be higher than today, or maybe if future tax rates will be higher across the board, perhaps due to the federal deficit. So using a Roth is always wise when, let's say, you're starting your career. Maybe you've got some low income years. Paying a lower tax rate today can save a tremendous amount of taxes if your future income is higher. Plus, if you have decades to go before retirement, it's likely that you'll have a huge amount of investment growth. And in that case, if it's in a Roth, you won't have to pay a penny in taxes for all that growth. While a Roth IRA has an income limit that you can't exceed to qualify for contributions, there is no income limit for a workplace Roth. So that makes a Roth 401k an excellent solution for high earners who want to minimize taxable income in retirement. In addition, Roth accounts do not have any required minimum distributions. So that means you can leave the funds in a Roth indefinitely or pass them along to your heirs, and they won't have any tax obligations. So having more control over when and how much income you take from a Roth retirement account gives you more flexibility and tax planning opportunities. To sum up, if Anna needs a larger tax deduction in the current year, traditional 401k contributions will help her. However, if she already has a large traditional balance, diversifying tax types may be wise. In addition, if Anna just wants more tax-free income in retirement, Roth contributions are a winner. I recommend considering a split strategy where you contribute approximately half to a traditional and half to a Roth. For instance, Anna could contribute $16,250 to her traditional 401k and $16,250 to a Roth 401k for a total of $32,500. That would satisfy the Roth mandate on the catch-up portion if she qualifies as a high earner for last year. But there's nothing wrong with making 100% Roth 401k contributions for some time, especially if you only have traditional funds. That would quickly build up your tax diversity, so you've got a larger bucket of tax-free money to spend in retirement. Anna, I hope this has been helpful. I'm personally a big proponent of building wealth in a workplace Roth, especially if you're a high earner who doesn't qualify for a Roth IRA. And not having to share a portion of your retirement balance with the government is a terrific benefit that you and any heirs can look forward to. Before we go, remember you can also email me with questions or comments via my contact page at lauradadams.com. While you're there, sign up for The Money Stack. That's my Substack newsletter. You can subscribe for free or support the show by becoming a paid member and getting access to my live educational and Q&A events. That's all for now. I'll talk to you soon. Until then, here's to living a richer life. Money Girl is a quick and dirty tips podcast, and we've got a great team working on the show. I want to thank Steve Rickyberg, our audio engineer. Holly Hutchins is our director of podcast. Morgan Christensen is our advertising operations specialist. Rebecca Sebastian is our marketing and publicity manager. And Nathaniel Hoops is our marketing contractor.